Hi, I'm Peter Birch. Today we're looking at Australian native birds. Welcome to CrittaCam. Thanks for inviting me out, Nathan. I really am excited to learn more about birds. I mean, a reptile guy, yes, but birds, no.
Yeah, there's quite a lot here. I'm happy to have you here. There's a couple of things I'd like to show you.
Cool, let's check it out.
Yep.
So I guess, Nathan, we're in this cage with these beautiful animals. Can you tell me what type of bird they are? Because you know I'm a big bird fan and I know so much about birds.
These guys are a red-tailed black cocky. So basically your red tails are split up into about 7 subspecies. These guys in the bird industry are still known as Magnificus.
Okay.
So they were the first subspecies described. They're found around the Darwin area and they're one of the larger ones as well.
That bird's very affectionate.
Yeah, she's cool.
So they've obviously got very strong beaks. Can you tell me something about like the power of that beak itself? I mean, at the moment, she's being very...
Yeah, she's always pretty gentle, but
there.
if you give her something like an almond or something like that, she can crush it, no problem.
Okay then. So the typical food that they would eat in their own natural environment, would it be like seeds?
So you eat things like pine cones, seeds, they like a lot of grass seeds. There's a few records of them eating things like grubs from under bark, so they use their really powerful beaks to rip off bark and get grubs out of the wood from under that.
So this guy here is a little bit standoffish and we can see he's sort of got his top feathers sort of there poking up and he's obviously a little bit cautious.
Yep.
Why is it that one's not so worried about us?
This one's had a lot of contact from pretty much since it left the nest. So that one we got basically as an adult bird, it had already fledged.
Okay.
This one we've done a lot of work with since it was very, very young. This one here's also had a bit of a rough start in life. When we got it, it was completely bald except for its head. Oh. And just by giving it some company and some wood to chew and stuff like that, it's grown its feathers back, and it's a long process. It's not 100%, but it's a lot better than what it was.
And I'm guessing with birds, the same with some mammals, that you've actually got to win their favour.
Yeah, things like favourite foods go a long way, but basically just being cautious and slow and no sudden movements.
And it's a trust thing too on both sides, right?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, I mean, seeing that beak around your ear and she's sort of plucking there and sort of licking you on the face, it can be quite frightening, right?
It is, especially when she's right in front of my eye, but she's never bitten before and I doubt she ever will.
I mean, my wife is afraid of birds. She really freaks out when she sees those beaks. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not that afraid of birds, really. But the claws are quite powerful. And like you said, there's 7 different species, right?
Yeah, subspecies of the red tail. So you get some that are brighter, you get some that are a little bit bigger, you get some that are a little bit smaller, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be done on those as well, so they'll be split up further. I
mean, they're absolutely gorgeous animals. What's an average lifespan for these beautiful creatures?
I've heard of them at breeding age up to about 68.
Wow.
I don't know exact numbers, but I've heard of them breeding up to about that 68 range. This girl's about 4 years old, so she's still a baby. She hasn't quite reached breeding age yet.
Wow, she's quite affectionate. And I'm guessing, you know, being 68, when you buy a bird like this, you really got to make a commitment.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment. Yeah. And especially with this bird as well. She doesn't like new people. She doesn't like strangers. So just keeping her in that low stress, familiar environment.
Yeah, no, she's absolutely gorgeous. And you've got some other cool stuff that we're going to have a look at, right?
Yep.
Let's go and check that out. All right, Nath. I guess most people would call this an owl, but they're obviously incorrect.
Yeah, they're actually a nightjar. They're fairly closely related to kingfishers. So if you sort of look closely at the beak shape, you can see it's a similar sort of shape.
So correct me if I'm wrong, kingfishers similar to kookaburras?
Yeah, kookaburras, your
shape,
small little blue forest kingfishers, all that sort of thing. Nightjars are fairly closely related to them.
Yep. And obviously the modelling colour is a camouflage thing.
Yeah,
and I mean, earlier when we came in, she was sitting with her head sort of pointed up in a position there.
Yeah, they sit there with their head pointed straight, so they just look like a broken off bit of branch or something like that.
So by just looking at this beautiful creature, I mean, look at the eyes. The eyes are just like a normal round pupil.
But they're huge.
Yeah, they're massive. It's almost like it's eyeballing me in the eyes. And I mean, every time I move my hand, you can see the mouth smoothing. And I mean, for someone that's not a really bird person, it could be a little bit scary, right?
Yeah, oh, of course. And they do have a little bit of pressure when they bite down.
Yep.
It's not as bad as a parrot or something like that, but it's quite a bit of pressure and it does sting a little bit.
Okay, so these beautiful creatures are active during the day.
You'll find them start to become active around dusk,
Okay.
but they're mostly active at night.
Right, and their food, their tucker they like to eat, obviously some
They
rodents.
love rodents. I've fed these guys, I've got them onto mince just for a treat. They can have invertebrates, they can have crickets, mealworms, roaches, anything like that.
So, but best of all would be a whole body prey
Yeah,
item.
of course, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that tongue, like I said earlier, looks like almost like a feather, like it's right there, it's just constantly sitting out.
Yeah, I read a paper recently that said that that's a way of attracting invertebrates basically right into their mouth so they don't have to actively hunt. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but...
Yeah, I mean, she's sitting there with her mouth open and you can see that tongue sort of just slowly moving up and down. Unfortunately, there's a tail in there as well, which is something she just had a feed on. And that they swallow their prey whole.
They do.
Obviously,
Yes.
That's something that's pretty important. They don't tear it apart,
No.
they just suck it down whole. I know owls basically regurgitate like a pellet.
Yep.
These guys don't do that,
No.
no? It's just
No.
eaten and excreted just like normal.
Yep.
So Nath, where are we now? We're in with the cheeky lorikeets.
Yep, basically it's a cage full of hand-reared rainbow lorikeets, which is why they're sitting all over us.
They're quite cheeky in nature, aren't they, these
They
guys?
are. They're very cheeky.
And quite destructive too.
Yeah, very destructive.
So rainbow lorikeets are quite attractive on their own, but you've got some unusual looking ones. There's one up there hiding behind you right there.
Yeah, we've got a few mutations in these guys. So the one sitting on my shoulder that's just gone is called a grey-green. So that's basically a melanistic, similar to your black blue tongues and stuff like that. It's a similar mutation to that.
Okay.
And then this little fella here with the yellow is called a double factor pied. So the pied is a co-dominant mutation. You need 2 copies of it to get that intense yellow and orange colouring.
Yep.
He's a grey-green as well, so he's got the melanistic mutation.
Wow.
There is a single factor pied somewhere around here.
Right, I mean, getting all lost in the terminology. It's slightly different to reptile genetics, but it's all the same, right? So we're talking basically...
It's basically the same. So
codoms and stuff like that.
It's the same genetics as your zebra carpets and jags and stuff like that. The grey-green mutation is a dominant mutation.
Yep.
So it turns up in the offspring pretty quick. But if you put this bird here over a normal lorikeet, you'll still get some of that streaking.
Oh, okay.
The pied's quite prevalent.
Yeah. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. Probably one of the... they're not a large parrot, are they? They're one of the smaller parrots, but the colours are so vivid.
And they're a great hand-reared bird as well. A lot of people keep them. They talk well, they whistle well. They're an attractive bird. They're easy to keep.
And they're cheeky.
They are very cheeky.
So I believe we were a little bit anxious getting in here because we're going to probably get torn to pieces, right?
Yeah, they can be a little bit nippy.
We've got some favourite treats for them.
Yeah, they love apple. Anything sweet, they love. They're a nectar eater naturally.
Wow. And I guess the worst thing for people to do if they've got these guys hanging around their house is feed them bread.
Yes,
Yeah.
bread, seeds, stuff like that. They can't really process it. They don't have a complex digestive system like a normal parrot. Basically, what they drink, you've seen them poo.
Yep.
It's just basically clear liquid.
Well, I've had the pleasure of them pooing on me, so yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
That's all they eat is just nectar and sweet stuff.
Wow. I mean, absolutely gorgeous little creatures. Come on, buddy, you can have some. Come on.
They love you.
Yeah, they love to poo me. Hey, little fella.
Right, so this is the single factor pied
Oh, okay.
here. So that's the basically the that's what you would get if you put that over a normal bird.
Oh, okay. So the streaking we're talking is up around the eyes there?
Up around the eyes, you'll notice a few yellow feathers get through, but nothing too drastic.
Wow.
For the most part, they look like a normal. Let's see if we can get it to eat some apple.
And obviously being a mutation, they don't exist naturally in the wild.
I've seen this mutation in the wild.
So there'd be like the rare 1 or 2 here and there,
Yeah.
but not large populations of
Whether
them.
it's naturally occurring or an escape, these pieds are quite popular within the bird industry.
Wow. They certainly demolished that pretty quick, and I mean, if you've had the unfortunate event of getting nipped by one of these guys. They've got very strong beaks compared to their size, and I guess that's a common factor for most parrots.
Yeah, these guys will tear you open a lot faster than most other parrots will. They're very destructive on skin.
Cheeky little buggers. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's show, learning more about these beautiful Australian birds. I know I have learned a lot more, thanks to Nathan. Make sure you hit us up on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, thanks for watching CrittaCam.